Brothers from Another Mother duet with Larry McRae, from the album Medication Time by Todd Sharpville, who we're talking to about the content of this stuff. That one has to grab you, specifically because, not just because he's a buddy, but because of what happened to you and the fact that he was very tightly involved. But musically, if you didn't know all those things, it's still a terrific piece.
Thanks. You know, I had one opportunity to write about a 30-year friendship, and I'm kind of proud of it because very soon after we recorded it, I imagined us as little old men somewhere down the line reminiscing and saying, hey, remember that thing we recorded back in the day on that old album of yours, you know, the Brothers thing. And the fact that I know that we'd look back and we'd listen to it and we'd be silent, we're quietly impressed with what we did, you know.
I think you do. I think, you know, I'm 15 years older than you, 14 years older than you, something like that. And I tell you what's funny, what you've got coming up, I will warn you that the 50s up until 60, I found were the absolute best. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still having a great life, but the body doesn't want to join in as happily as it used to. You end up spending a lot of time working on your physical capability and your health in order to be able to go out 3 nights a week and do what you want. But in the 50s, I still felt invincible, and I thought I was supposed to feel old, and I didn't. So you've got most of your 50s to go. I would jump in and make the most of it. But yes, you will think about times past. And the other thing that really rubs you is the people that you've lost that were younger than you. It gets to you. It's frustrating. I've lost 5 people, and just in the last 2 years, all younger than me. My youngest was 48, mostly musicians and people who didn't, you know, couldn't do anything to contribute. There's just component failure and stuff that happens, you know.
Sure.
And,
well, you know, to address both points, I mean, you know, loss is an unfortunate reality of life. I wrote a song that's probably going to be on the next album called Won't Say Goodbye, whilst I was in the throes of grief. And it's the recognition, I'm trying to think of the lyric, nature, she's as cruel as she is kind. But it is nature, and we have no choice but to grin and bear it, and to take those memories, you know, forward in a positive way. And each loss we go through, and each element of grief or suffering that any humans endure, is kind of boot camp for what's to come. And it's a reminder that, you know, we're all fallible and we should all enjoy the moment. You know, which brings me on to my second point, which is your thing about feeling older as you go through your 50s and your 60s. My missus always likes to use the adage, you're only as old as the woman you feel.
Yeah, well, in your case, you'll be doing all right. as will I, and it's very true. When you consider, you know, we've been together 15 years, and I look around friends of mine, and you know, and people that maybe you don't know, and you try and imagine life with someone else. I can't. I mean, she's fit and faster than me. She lets me catch her once a week, but bikes, racing, walking, swimming, forget it. You won't get close to her, you know. So it definitely keeps me on my toes. But yes, that is very true. How you live and who you live it with will keep you that way. As you saw with my embarrassing lunchtime dancing to a ska band on Sunday. But the point is, I was having a blast. And I know there's a lot of people my age that wouldn't even think about doing that.
Yeah,
So
if anyone struggles with the concept of living in the moment, romance certainly helps you do it.
Yes. Tell me about Dixie Frog. I think it's a French label, and I've just this last 2 years noticed several rather good albums coming out on that label. How did that come about?
They've been around for quite a long time. I think they're 35 years old as a label. There's a colleague who's an old cohort, Papa Chubby, who's been on the label for many, many years. Papa Chubby from New York, who's you know, exceptionally popular in France and Germany when he comes over here to tour. And it was through you know, Papa Chubby's connection with the label that I originally got to know them. The label was taken over about 3 years ago, and the new owners, you know, we touched base, and they fell in love with the album very quickly. and we're enjoying the process of, English and French relations have never been so strong.
Well, yeah, okay. But it's good because they seem to be pretty on the ball, and I've noticed. I should have taken more time to have a closer look. I've seen the album show up in a variety of different charts. So it's been out, a month or two, and is already doing very well. So tell us what you've circled up in terms of where you're seeing it show up and why. Yeah, I mean, the album came out on the 8th of July. We're currently number one in the UK album radio charts overall. I think Eric Clapton's number 3. Ed Sheeran's down the list somewhere. So I'm number one. I'm number one there. I'm number one in the international blues rock album charts. Number one in the international blues rock single charts. Number 3 in the overall international blues charts for albums, and number 3 in the worldwide blues singles chart. So yeah, it's 3 number 1s, 2 number 3s, and let's see where it goes. Well, you've got to be really happy about that. Yeah, it's just validation for the hard work that goes into it. But to be honest, the real validation is with the publicity the album derives, is the kind of messages that I then get filtered back to me from people who are suffering in one form or another, who've been inspired or touched by the record, which is, that means it's really doing its job properly. It's my job as an artist to try and reflect society back at itself, and in order to do that, you've got to be as open, honest, and vulnerable as you can be, which puts you in a slightly shaky predicament because you don't know how anything's ever going to be received when you're as naked as that. So to see that it's doing its job properly and that somehow, you're soul-fixing to some shape or form. And every time someone plays the album on the radio or it gets a review or a bit of attention somewhere, it opens it up to more people. And then at the end of the day, it fixes, 1 or 2 more souls. And that's the main validation. And that's kind of what keeps me doing what I do. Well, I think it's very relevant, and people can absolutely relate to, all of that content and take advantage of the fact that, you're totally open, but it makes it believable and honest. I don't think anyone would take advantage. I think it hits home a lot more so than somebody just talking about it, somebody's lived it, and the expression and the feeling that comes through, not just in the lyrics, but you hear emotion in play. I'm not a musician, but I've lived on my ears and for so long. I find it easier to cry today to music that's making me happy or sad, but mostly happy. Just an example, I went to see Frank Turner the other week and was just joyously thrilled to be part of a crowd of 1,800 people that were bouncing to protest songs, and it took me back to seeing Tom Robinson in the late 70s in a theatre in London, and it was just a tingle that made me cry. Some of those great songs that are untouchable, and it's wonderful to be able to react emotionally to great music, great albums, and the feelings that come out. We're going to play some more of those feelings now. This one is not one of yours, but I think it's a song that people are going to recognize, even though this is a boogie and you're duetting with Sugar Ray, and your arrangement and your interpretation makes it so worth listening to.
Custom kitchen delivery. We gotta move this refrigerator. We got to move this color TV. With the earring and the makeup on. Oh, but that's his own hair. That little maggot got his own jet airplane. The little maggot, he's a millionaire. We got to install a microwave. Custom kitchen delivery. We gotta move this refrigerator. We got to move this color TV. Oh, baby. I should have learned to play the guitar. I should have learned to play them drums. Look at that mama, she got it sticking in the camera. Man, we could have some fun. Yeah, and he's up there. Oh, what noise is banging on the bongo like a chimpanzee. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Your money for nothing and your chicks for free. We got to install a microwave. Custom kitchen delivery. We gotta move these refrigerators. We got to move these color
And I love waking up with UK Bob on Good Morning Blues, right here on WRFG.
This is from our Public Affairs Bulletin Board.
Freedom University is an underground freedom school based here in Atlanta for undocumented students like me. We are undocumented young people who are deeply committed to our education despite Georgia's notorious policy 416 and 434, which bans us from equal access to public universities in Georgia. Freedom University is unique not only because we are the only school for undocumented students in the country, but also because we employ a popular education model where we, as students, choose the courses that are offered. Each semester, we take classes in the fields of human rights, college preparation, arts, STEM, and well-being. This semester, we chose classes such as Indigenous Studies, Natural Sciences, a writing workshop, art studio, and a Mexican son jarocho music class. Beyond the classroom, Freedom University also helps us by providing us with legal assistance, mental health support, and emergency financial aid. Freedom University is able to provide us with courses and holistic support thanks to the generosity of everyday people in Atlanta and around the world who believe in our human rights to education. If you would like to support Freedom University's work by empowering undocumented students like me, you can find more information on www.freedom-university.org or follow us on Instagram at FU_Georgia. Thank you so much for your love and solidarity.
Hi, this is Solomon Burke, and I'm riding the Blues Train on Radio Free Georgia. Soul sounds, rhythm and blues, everything you want to know about the news. It's on the Soul Train tonight. The Blues Train.
Another track from the Todd Sharpville album, and we've got him on the phone chatting to us about it, Medication Time. That was, I believe, your buddy, Mr. Mark Knopfler, and your version of Money for Nothing. Where do you guys connect?
Well, the song kind of helped drive me just a little bit crazier when I was in the mental hospital, because there was a guy down the corridor from the moment I arrived who just played it morning, day, and night on his stereo system as loudly as he possibly could. So a couple of months of that on the trot is enough to put you in a mental hospital, I can assure you. So great as the original version was, I felt that, to be honest, that even though I was slightly tired of the song because of the experience, that it would be, honest and appropriate to represent it somehow on the album. And in doing so, as with any cover, I wanted to turn it upside down and do something that's me with it, which I think is always the biggest tribute you can pay to a great songwriter, is to show them the myriad of different ways that their song can translate. Duke Robillard was convinced that Sugar Ray Norcia wouldn't want to do the song because it's a contemporary rock song, and of course Sugar Ray is known within the business as a diehard traditionalist and an exponent of some of the greatest old style of playing. But he loved the idea, and we kind of turned it into a prequel that sounds like Dire Straits, covered us, and ours was the old 1960s version of the song.
No, indeed. I mean, and I love it. I am one that does enjoy a good cover and interpretation. It validates the song's existence as opposed to someone that just runs along and mimics it. It's very different. And I think people have got more creative in the 3 years. Lockdown, I tried to explain to people in America, I said, you talk about lockdown here and you've got no bloody clue. Lockdown in England, the only way I can describe to an American is house arrest, with a tracker on your leg. You don't go anywhere, you don't do anything. But it worked. I think it worked way better than some of the other ideas that people have put out there. And, during that time, people, I think, found new ways with all the different tools. Some were happier with Zoom and live streams than others. You and a bunch of guys, locked down in a particular building with the lockdown ban for what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
No. It was 6 months.
6 months? Oh my God!
6 months. I mean, when the crisis hit, and I realised very quickly there wasn't going to be any live ensemble music, no bands together. I balked at the idea, and actually talking about the mental health side of things. I'm acutely aware of some of the diehard music fans who, some of them, a small proportion worldwide, some of them are slightly on the spectrum and don't have families and friends and wives and kids and support networks. And live music is the way that they commune with the rest of humanity. And so the gig-going activities are what keep them afloat. And I knew that, with this being removed from society entirely, that it would cause a mental health issue amongst many of them. So I wanted to make sure there was one professional band under one roof that could stream as one band and jam as one band and be spontaneous and provide that service. So I embarked on the thing of having to put together, a bit like the Blues Brothers movie, trying to put together a band where all of the individual components had experience of working with big names, so as to encourage some confidence from the music industry on both sides of the Atlantic for recording projects and such, where a rhythm section under one roof would still be necessary. And put a band together, and then realized I wasn't going to be able to do this and invite strangers to live with me for an unspecified period of time without having their wives and kids and dogs along. And then I knew I'd need somewhere big enough to house the project. And I would need some financing to be able to afford to pay the musicians and pay the rental costs of what was inevitably a mansion that I rented in Norfolk on a nominal rent through the lockdown. So we spent 6 months living together, streaming gigs, recording with people, doing some corporate streaming as well. And I don't know
anybody else that did that.
I'm sorry?
I don't know anybody else that did that.
No, we were officially through that first chunk of the lockdown, the only professional live band under one roof. I mean, there were a few garage bands out there doing their thing, but certainly with the kind of level of expertise that I managed to assemble from some of the musicians. I mean, we had Jules Holland's bassist there with us, who's worked with 3 Beatles and 4 Stones and Amy Winehouse and Ed Sheeran and a plethora of people. We had a lot of good minds under one roof in that place, and it afforded us the ability to change the set list for the free shows we were streaming every week, take requests and play a variety of different styles, and try and facilitate everyone's live music needs as best as possible. I ran up a huge debt doing it. I slept maybe 2 hours a night through the whole process because I was doing the PR, the technicals, the arty-farty stuff, man management, the whole thing. But it was, you know, it was
what a wonderfully unique experience to look back on and see what you accomplished. You know,
it's kind of like the Big Brother house on steroids.
You and I don't even remember how we met. I know the last time we did an interview was got to be 17, 18 years ago. It was either Meaning of Life or Porch Light. I don't remember which. I'm trying to remember how we connected, because it's got to be 20 plus years.
I think possibly we did an interview for the Meaning of Life many moons ago, and that was, you know, blimey, yeah. But it feels like I've known you all my life.
Well, that's because if we kiss every time we meet, it's going to be that way, you know. Speaking of which, don't forget, I'll be there middle 2 weeks of September. I know the last time we couldn't connect, I think you were doing that show in Russia, or I was stuck somewhere. We couldn't be in the same postcode, but we've got to fix that.
Sure, no, most definitely.
How's your mum, by the way?
She's good. I mean, this is another facet of life that people don't warn us about, you know, when we're younger. But most people tend to face at some point later in life the responsibility of looking after, you know, one or two parents through their old age. And she's my main priority. She's my main gig. Everything else tends to come after that. And she's good. She's 84. She's feisty. She's fiercely insistent on trying to be as independent as possible, which causes me various nightmares. But yeah, I'm around there changing light bulbs. She lives like 5-10 minutes away from me, so I'm changing light bulbs in the middle of the night and constantly showing her how to turn the computer on and off, and, you know, dealing with problems small and large. But, you know, she did that for me when I was a kid, and now it's my turn.
That's the way I looked at it. As you know, I lost my mum during COVID, the first year, 2019.
Of course, yeah.
No, 20. And it was, I'd spent 16 years caring for her since my dad died. And it was weird. People, I'm not sure what they thought of me. The time I'd come over 3 times a year. And during the day, it was driving Miss Daisy wherever she wanted to go, lunch, a view, look out the window, fall asleep, looking out the window, whatever. And there were some days she didn't feel like it. But thank God for the NHS. I had her in 2 places. First was assisted living and then a full care home. She did 2 years in each. But right up until 92, she lived in the house I was born in and kept it going. And that was hard work. How she did, I don't know. She finally passed at 96, but she never got sick. And she was in, you know, happy. And just one day with a cup of tea in her hand at 10 in the morning, that was the end. And I thought, wow, if I could choose a way to go. I can say that now. At the time, I cried a lot for a long time because I realized how much we had got closer, me looking after her. And I never felt uncomfortable and pushing her around in a wheelchair. We made videos everywhere in some stupid places doing stupid things. And it was actually, she was a joy and she was easy. And I see your mum very similar. She's a very classy, lovely-looking woman who seems to be somebody that is easy to love and look after.
Well, you know, it's what we're given and what we put back is kind of what defines us at the end of the day. And, you know, we are the relationships that are full of love in our lives, and, you know, come the end of our lives, those who love us, it's the mark of, you know, how well we did and how well we loved in turn. I mean, this is the important stuff, and it's stuff that people don't really discuss enough, I think. You know, I found this when prior to the mental hospital experience. What put me there was the vulnerability of suddenly being separated from my kids. And, you know, guys don't talk to each other about, you know, breakups and divorce, about that side of the fence. And it's something that takes a lot of men by surprise when all of a sudden they face that separation. And it's emotionally, you know, it can rock you and knock you over. Guys like to talk about football. They like to talk about about girls. They like to talk about anything but. And then when these things happen, they happen as a surprise. And the same thing happens when our parents, you know, are taken from this life, and we're left, you know, looking after someone who's been left behind. You know, it normally takes us by surprise when that happens, and when we're faced with that responsibility. And in a sense, we should all be preparing each other a little bit more for these things that are inevitabilities at the end of the day.
We should. And I consider myself blessed that I got to spend those 16 years being responsible for her, even if it was by iPad, in direct contact with a lot of people. They could reach me anytime during COVID. They would wheel a TV in and put me on the screen at exactly the time that was booked. You know, I mean, NHS were just fantastic. I can't say enough brilliant things about them. The way they took care of her and me and involved me in everything. But yes, all of you out there, you know, I've often been telling you, call your mum or dad and or grandparents if you're younger, if you're in the 30s and you've still got grandparents. Go sit with them once a week, hold their hand, shut the hell up and listen. Listen to what they have to say, what they're interested in talking about, because you won't get to share that information from people of that generation again. So don't waste the opportunity. And if you're bestowed the job of taking care of a parent, remember all the things that me and Todd were just talking about, what they did for you. And some of you are right buggers, I know. So you owe them, and you go back and you do your job of taking care of them. So
100%, bravo. And let's not forget that, you know, we all get older, you know, or many of us do. And during that process, you know, we inevitably lose friends and family and connections of our own generation. And people get lonelier as they get older. And I really think that loneliness is possibly the most dangerous of human conditions. Yeah.
You do know that you're on my emergency list when I'm in London, right?
That's good. That's good to know. I'm the get out of jail free card.
Well, not necessarily jail. We get out of hospital, that's for sure. We are going to jump off and finish with another one of your songs. I Don't Need to Know Your Name. We're going to slow things down because it's not a touchy subject. It's sensitive and it's emotional, but it's hugely important. So I don't want to degrade that feeling. If you're listening cautiously and you've got Kleenex by your side, this is about musicians' mental health, although we were talking about our mothers. And I think that everyone needs to look out for everybody else the best they can, and never assume that you know what's going on in someone else's life. You may see them go by, you may see the way they dress, you may see the car they drive. You can't see their mental capacity and some of the issues that they're dealing with. So give everybody a break. The song is called I Don't Need to Know Your Name. My wonderful thanks to Todd Sharpville, talking about the album Medication Time, Dixie Frog Records. Fabulous content of wonderful material with superb artists participating, as well as your own, you know, huge talent and great singing, great vocals, by the way. Where do we direct people to purchase this living in the U.S.?
It is actually available pretty much everywhere. So in the US, you can get it from Amazon. It's available on all the streaming platforms. I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it.
Before I forget, I must tell you that I love you, and I'll see you in September.
Love you too, brother. Many thanks.
Good morning, everybody. This is Roger Cotton from the Peter Green Splinter Group. Here we are in the Kent Delta recording the new Barcodes Blues album with some wonderful players on it, and hope you're going to enjoy it when old Bob gets his hands on it. He said Bob is tall, good-looking, and incredibly available. So there you are. Okay, so listen in. Good morning, Blues. UK Bob, WRFG 89.3 FM. Take it easy. Or as B.B. King once said to me, who are you?
Past every painful trace. Oh, yes it does. I was drowning in deep sorrow, convinced that it would last till I saw your face. Oh, babe, girl, it's funny how a smile tell you all you need to know. I guess it's time to cut the past and let it go. I don't need to know your name to love you. Darling, I'm just glad you came. I found you. I don't feel an ounce of shame when I hold you, 'cause your eyes reveal a world beyond my pain. I don't need to know your name. Oh no, baby. Like I crawled the driest desert and swam the coldest sea just to chase that dove. Oh, yes, I did. But now you're quenching all my thirst, and you warm my freezing bones with your healing love. Oh, Lord. Girl, there's times when we should listen to the voices deep within. Put our hearts above our heads and let love in. I don't need to know your name to love you. Darling, I'm just glad you came. I found you. I don't feel an ounce of shame when I hold you, 'cause your eyes reveal a world beyond my pain. So I don't need to know your name. Daddy always said no extra chances. An opportunity she don't knock twice. No one ever spoke of second dances. You hit the floor and then I saw you melt that ice.
Sharpville, hoping he doesn't forget his promise in London in a few weeks. Time to relax. Put the kettle on, another cup of tea, chocolate biscuit dipping, either bourbons or custard creams, and put your feet up for a few minutes while we take a little slow patch. Gotta share a little piece with you from a nice little slowie from Marcus King, and then some bossa nova blues to gently bring you back.
I got the blues and it's worse than I've ever had. Out at my job and at home when I'm in my bed. I can't turn off my mind. I can't seem to unwind. I got the blues and it's worse than I've ever had. don't make it then. Money might change things, I ain't gotta sin. Just like a cannonball, feel I'm headed for a fall. I got the blues and it's worse than I've ever had.
deviation from the probably guitar-centered session today. I needed some tea. I'm sure you did too. So we had Bob Saletsky, solo archtop with a looper pedal, sitting by the lake doing Blue Bossa, which is a Kenny Dorham song, followed by, and he's American, by the way, followed by a chap in Colombia, I don't know, Mr. Andre Felipe Guerrero, doing the same thing but with a band and racking it up a little. So there you go. You should be awake. You're going to have to be awake. You know why? We are going to jump right back into a very rocky guitar album I started playing last week by Mr. Bernie Marsden, the latest of a series from him called Trio. And you're going to know these songs. Who's not going to want to shuck and jive with, I guess it's Edgar Winter. Hang on.
Following is a public affairs bulletin board announcement brought to you by your station for progressive information and hand-picked quality music, WRFG 89.3 FM, WRFG.org. The Imam Jamil Action Network, IJAN, in cooperation with WRFG 89.3 FM, will host a Black August program on Monday, August 15th, 7 p.m. in room 105 of the Little 5 Point Center for Art and Community, 1083 Austin Avenue Northeast, 30307. The month of August is filled with important historic dates for the Black resistance and liberation movements, struggles that continue today. On August 15, 1975, Joanne Little was acquitted on charges of killing the North Carolina jailer who entered her cell with an ice pick, intent on raping her. This case brought tens of thousands into the streets to support her right of self-defense. Women in prisons and detention centers continue to suffer sexual assault and medical abuse today. This program will feature videos from the Joanne Little Defense Movement and the testimony of formerly incarcerated women. The date again is Monday, August 15th, 7 p.m. in room 105, the Harlan Joy Community Room, located in the Little 5 Point Center for Art and Community, 1083 Austin Avenue Northeast, Atlanta 30307. There is parking behind the building off Euclid and the Inman Park MARTA station.
Mr. Bernie Marsden, yes, the one and only from Whitesnake way back when, but it's been playing a lot of blues and making a lot of albums in the last 25, 30 years. That's his latest, called Trio, on Conquest Records UK. Go and have a look at their site and see who else they've got rolling around there. I've always loved Mountain, and I've loved that track, Never in My Life. I don't know why, it's just one of those ones where the licks just stand out. It's great to hear him put it that way. Makes it nice and easy, doesn't try and overcomplicate it, and I don't know, it's just compressed into something that's enjoyable to hear again, even after all these years. And then Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Edgar Winter's still alive and kicking, so a good reminder of some great music that's still regenerating some, 40 years later. It's only right that we finish up British bluesy guitar players show with a couple straight from the brand new release by Snowy Whites, the only guy to turn back the holy grail of guitars from Peter Green, which is how it ended up with Kirk Hammett.
highway 44. But I just kept on going. Yes, I never did turn around. I had the volume up to max on my radio. Found me some cool sounds. Was a real fine thing. Driving on the 44 was a cool thing. Driving on the 44. Now I was feeling kind of peaceful, so I just kept cruising on. I crossed right over the county line. I was long gone. Was a real